The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. John.
Glory to you, O Lord.
At that time, Pilate said to Jesus, "Are you the King of Jews?" Jesus answered, "Do you say this of your own accord, or did others say to you about me?" Pilate answered, "Am I a Jew? Your own nation and the chief priests have delivered you over to me. What have you done?" Jesus answered, "My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, my servants would have been fighting that I might not be delivered over to Jews. But my kingdom is not from the world." Then Pilate said to him, "So you are a king?" Jesus answered, "You say that I am a king. For this purpose I was born, and for this purpose I have come into the world, to bear witness to the truth. Everyone who is of the truth listens to my voice." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
My dear friends in Jesus Christ, Feast of Christ the King is not an ancient feast. We have a lot more feasts which are very ancient. But then comparatively, it is a modern feast which came up with the First World War. And Pope Pius XI instituted this feast because there was a terrible problem with the powers of the world. So one side, after the First World War, it was a terrible war. A lot of people were massacred that time, and they wish there should not be any other wars. But then immediately after that, we had this Second World War with Hitler's situation. And then Pope wanted to emphasize on the fact that this world is not perpetual, everlasting. This kingdom is not our kingdom. We have to strive for something greater, which is everlasting. That's exactly why this feast was inaugurated, my dear friends. So that's exactly why we have to know the context if you want to know the text. That's exactly why this is relevant even today. Especially for Sri Lankans, especially for us. We have a terrible issue with our own powers, We go through terrible struggle, and it has gone to dogs. And we go through terrible mill because of the present and all the time. The leaders, the way they have conducted, they have ruled the country, it was a mess. So we are here to make that mess a message, isn't it? There's no other way. There's no other way. We have to see God. Those who are pure in heart will see God. In Matthew chapter 5, verse 8, it is said. So we have to find the purpose, find the meaning, even in this terrible chaos. That's exactly why we are here. We have to read between lines. We have to read the signs of the time. Because God is in control. Seemingly, they rule, the evil one, the devil rule the world. And it is full of darkness and stink, isn't it? And it is dirty. It is terribly dirty, the way the people were used and people were mentally massacred. Yet we have a hope. We are called to hope against hope. Because we believe our King is Jesus. There's no other one. The way that King ruled the world was different. King Alexander, he conquered the whole world by killing people, persecuting them. And after conquering the whole world, he was crying. He was depressed because he didn't have any other thing to conquer. He was lost. But our King never conquered the world by shedding others' blood. Our King allowed him to be persecuted. And his throne was with thorns. And his kingly ring was suffering. And it was beautiful how he controlled the world. In book of Daniel, my dear friends, it was a time of persecution also. And Daniel saw a lot of visions. And according to Daniel, he saw 4 beasts, which symbolizes 4 kingdoms. Babylon, Media, Persia, and Greece. Those are the 4 kingdoms. And then he saw a son of man overpowering them all. That kingdom was never end. That denotes the kingdom of Jesus Christ. My dear friends, in Ephesians chapter 6 verse 11 it is said, we have only one enemy. So it's not India, it's not America, it's not China, it's not LTTE, it's not Bin Laden, no one else. We have only one enemy. That is devil. That is devil. So he will have all his tactics to take you away from the connection. So he controls the world. He controls money, pleasure, and wealth, and power. So people were so greedily snared by them, entrapped by them. They are so blind, they think that is right. And they greedily run after them. The mob, popular opinion was that. We are called to go against that current. So Jesus' fight, combat was not with the human forces. His fight was with enemy. The only enemy, the evil one, the darkness. Jesus became the light to enlighten the world, to fight the darkness in the world. So my dear friends, his fight was different. But that's why before Pilate, he was different. He was never pale and frail. He was never broken before Pilate. Never. And John wanted to depict the picture in a different way. He wanted to turn the table topsy-turvy, where Pilate has become a meek and timid, where Jesus has become the king even before death. Because he is the one who killed the death and overruled every dark forces of the world. And when Pilate said, I have power to kill or save. See, Jesus' authority. He said, if my Father does not have empowered you, clothed with that power, you cannot even touch me. His authority was different, my dear friends. We have authority over people. We have authority over incidents. But then inside of us, we are just beggars and paupers. We fall before feelings. We fall before traps. We fall before temptations. That's how evil one trap us. And my dear friends, that's exactly, we are called to live in a life of hope. Because Jesus' kingdom was different. Because he's the king. In our baptism, we have 3 roles. Kingly role, which is a shepherding role. Priestly and prophetic role. So king is a shepherd. King is clearly a shepherd who goes in the front of the warfare. Front of the battle. He will face like a shepherd to save the sheep. He's the first to face the challenge, the enemy. So we have our king as our shepherd. So we will always have him in front of us. That's how he shepherds us. In the reading, it's beautifully says, and he says, our beloved, behold, he is coming with clouds, and every eye will see him, even those who pierced him, and all tribes of the earth will wail on account of him. And he has loved us with his own life. He has given his life as a ransom. Our King is there for me. Jesus, who came in the past, he was going to come in Parousia, second coming, is there already with me now. What a strength, my dear friends. He's Alpha and Omega. He's the beginning and end. And who is, and who was, and who is to come. So he's there, right there with me. His kingship is never end. He's my king even today. Of course, he is not a king who pleases us. He's a shepherd who directs us through terrible storms, calamity, destruction, pain, trauma. He allows it because he wants us to be formed, not to cuddle all the time. So he's a king who directs us, who gives the best of the best in all our endeavors. My dear friends, but then we have to know the world is full of evil, yet we live in hope that there would be a day of end where the sun is shaken, earth is broken, all our dreams are shattered, where the dream of God will come true one day. So we live in a world which is not everlasting. We live in a broken world which will pass one day. So nothing is permanent here. But then kingdom, there's a kingdom where we are going to take part in connection with him. One day that kingdom is perpetual and everlasting. So Jesus said, my kingdom is not here. When Pilate asked, are you a king? He said, yes. The language of St. John is different, my dear friends. When he said, are you a king? He said, you say that I am. Which means I am. The original meaning of the word is I am a king. But then my kingdom is different. If I am king in this world, my armies would come and fight against me, which is so much of power. When the king is born in Bethlehem, my dear friends, unknown to everyone, armies of angels came. Angels are not timid characters. Angels are warriors according to the Bible. So armies of angels came. So he came clothed with power. But then power different from the powers of the world. So we have to know that we have a king. That Jesus is my king. Seemingly my hope is done. Seemingly I am broken to the dust. I am crushed to the brim. Yet I know that there is my king. So we live in his reign, my dear friends. When it comes to his kingdom, that kingdom of not a particular geographical place. It does not have a boundary. That kingdom is the place where the will of God is completed. Will of God. Thy will be done. Thy kingdom come. It's a literary style where the same meaning is rotated. It's kind of redundant, my dear friends. So the kingdom where the will of God is done. So you have to ask whether he is your king. If he is your king, everything is under his feet. He's in control. But then not the way the world is controlled, no. He will take you in a different path. He will take you against the current. His lifestyle is different. The way you are called to take part in his kingship is different. You are called to love not by controlling. You are called to love by breaking and giving. Agape kind of love. So that's exactly why your calling is different, my dear friends. He is the king who completely won the darkness of the world. So it's beautiful. He's Alpha and Omega. He's yesterday, today, and tomorrow. He will have the full control of your life. But then, if and only if you do his will in your heart, if you believe and profess that Jesus is my king, there cannot be anyone in between you and your God. That's idol worship. That's idolatry. So you have to only make sure the devil will destroy you by distracting you. Devil will put something very attractive, which is eye-catching, which is mind-provoking, which is very tasty. That's exactly what happened in Garden of Eden. They were distracted with an attraction. So in a very subtle way, devil will come to destroy the connection. The moment you are done, terminated, your connection is terminated, you are done. So that's exactly why you have to see, recheck and check. Whether we have to diagnose your heart, whether he is my king always. Every day, every eve of the day, you have to check yourself. Examination of conscience. Whether he is my king. So if he is my king, I live a life differently. I live a life with authority. Not authority over the authority where politically grabbed and stingily taken. No. That authority will pass with another election. They will fight to hold on to that power. They're like just paupers and beggars, isn't it? But then we live authority over sin. We'll live with authority over temptation. We live a life of spiritual dignity. That we share in the same kingship of my king. Of course, I'm persecuted. Of course, I'm cornered. Of course, I'm crushed. Of course, I'm used, misunderstood. Definitely. But yet, I raise my head straight and look at my king who was on the cross. My calling is suffering. My throne is cross. There's no other way. There's no other way. So when I go through that pain, I go through that pain with power. The way I face the challenge, that's the true power. My inner response is the true power. So I'm a child of God. I'm not a pauper. Man, my Father is the King of all kings. We celebrate this feast with joyful expectation, my dear friends. With joyful expectation. Jesus was before Pilate, which was not just, but he wanted to do the will of the Father. In all the situations, always his notion was to do the will of the Father. So he became humble unto death to do the will of the Father. So humility is not meekness. Humility is not where you betray yourself. No. You just bow before him. Say yes to him. I'm your handmaid, Lord. Thy will be done. Of course, this is difficult. This is hard. That's why we have that king went to Gethsemane, where he had to fight that spiritual combat in the spiritual state. To do the will, we have to crush our will, tear our flesh. We have to have power from above. So we live with authority, holding in the hand of the Lord, sharing the same throne of the cross, bearing the pain in power. We are called to share in that powerful kingship of the Lord. Amen.